Breaking news. We're starting to learn what this virus is, what this Doomsday virus is. And it's genocide. Ladies and gentlemen, these hospitals that they built are just blocks away from the crematorium. You just couldn't make this stuff up. We're getting reports of all sorts of fire activity via satellites from over there. And the worst is yet to come. The numbers are much worse than you can possibly imagine, ladies and gentlemen, to say the least. And we're learning that the U.S. is now building 20 quarantine zones in various cities across America. We'll get into that. And of course, all of this is backed up with the mainstream media links on our website, stfnreport.com. Never miss out on the latest news throughout the day at stfnreport.com. Here's the map of these hospitals, and you know, they put them up there like some kind of big humanitarian project, like wow, you know. But in fact, they're there to basically collect people to shuttle them off to the crematorium. And at first, people were a little reticent, but now they're getting the picture. You know, we see the bars on the windows here. We're seeing people being collected, kicking and screaming. They don't want to go to these death camps, covering as hospitals just blocks away from the crematorium. And what they've done basically is they've turned, you know, the cities into a giant concentration camp. And even the uniforms kind of match. We'll get into some of that footage, but it's actually really scary to watch this unfold, knowing that this is coming our way, according to all of the experts. So we're going to be getting into the forecast, the numbers. You know, here's the crematorium. That's their thing over there. They don't have the space to bury people, so most people just go out through the crematorium. And they got these massive crematoriums already set up in town. And, you know, inside reports are saying they're running 24 hours a day. People are working overtime and the like. You can't even imagine how many people are being, you know, burnt right now. And, you know, the numbers are rather staggering. We'll be getting into the outbreak. We'll be getting into the latest numbers. It's still thousands of cases reported per day, but it's probably 10, 100 times worse than that, to say the least. And nobody knows. There's like a big black hole of information, but what we've seen so far has frightened just about everybody from coast to coast. And we're seeing people wake up. Here's some of the footage of where they're rounding people up, throwing them into the vans, and basically liquidating apartment buildings and then welding the doors shut. So this is a full-blown liquidation of the ghetto for those that know their World War II vernacular. In any case, we're seeing new videos of people dropping dead on the left and right parts of this split screen, and then in the middle we got new videos of people being hauled off. They look, you know, strong enough to fight. You know, this girl, it takes 4 of them, right, to take this girl away. So she's strong enough to fight, and everybody's going. And basically they passed a new law out there that if you've been suspected of being in contact with somebody that's been infected, they must take you away. So, you know, the bar is pretty low as far as you know, justification is concerned. You just have to be suspected of having been in contact with somebody that's infected. So, you know, imagine we suspect a patient 0 in San Francisco. That means we should haul everybody out into the camps. You notice the red bandana, black kind of vest, black and red, just kind of like the Nazis did, unfortunately. We're seeing, you know, pretty much the same thing. At first, it looked like an outbreak, but now, you know, we understand. It's not Zyklon B, it's Zyklon C. They're gassing the people with virus, and then they're shipping them off to the crematorium. And so, you know, you just have to wonder about the blowback and everything that's going to be happening after this. It's already looking super bad. Now, we're looking at the split screens of the hospitals. The ones that they showed you on television, you know, everywhere on CNN, look what all they're doing, you know. That's the one in the middle, and it's got the portals and the bar cell, or the, you know, the bars on the windows. But the other ones are just like these big gymnasiums where people are just gathered in. It's not an isolation ward. You don't see this really on CNN. But in the left and right split screen here, you're actually seeing the new, or like the satellite hospitals of this new death camp network. And they're just being brought in here, dropped off, they get sick, and boom, they're gone. So, and of course, the death rates that we're getting from over there are much, much higher. Much, much higher. And we're much closer to SARS, if not worse. And if this thing outbreaks in America and infects 100 million people at 15%, that's 15 million people. That's a lot of people that are going to go, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we've got the footage here where they're welding the doors shut after liquidation. And that seems to be what they're doing. Instead of just locking people in there, they're, evacuating everybody. Your building has been contaminated. You are coming with us. And they stick you into these, one of these death hospitals, and then basically infect you, and you're off to the crematorium. That's basically it. We're going to have to see what the final numbers are like, but we'll never get the real numbers. What we do know is they're just burning bodies like there's no tomorrow. There's no more body bags, and they manufacture, if they can build a hospital in 5 days, think about how many body bags they can produce, in 5 days, and they're out of body bags. They're out of everything. That's kind of besides the point. But what's really interesting and what we're looking to compile right now is all of the data of the burnings that have occurred after the outbreak began. And we're getting lots of reports of death clouds from the crematoriums. We're getting all sorts of reports of like open burn pits. And so a lot of that is to be verified, but they already have this industrialized process set up of collecting people and shipping them off to the crematorium in broad daylight under the cover of a virus. And, there probably is a virus, but, they're exterminating a lot of people right now. And knowing this Skull and Bones 322, enemy that we're up against, they're going to be looking to exterminate everyone in America in very much the same way. And the system is all set up for that. I mean, they must have dreamt that up at Jekyll Island or some other kind of, conference, but it's perfect. And so here comes the virus and the like. And of course, there's been more and more mysterious, flu outbreaks in America. In the 2017-2018 winter, 80,000 people were killed, like pretty much never ever seen before. Now they're closing in entire school districts. How do we know that there's not like these mini releases happening, in our backyards, kind of skimming off, the top, if you will, getting rid of people that way and just calling it the flu? I think that this event is really going to open people's eyes as far as, what's really going on in the world, because all of the microbiologists are saying that this virus has the fingerprints of being a Frankenstein virus, a GMO virus, something that's gone under the CRISPR knife, if you will. And if you don't know how they make GMOs and what CRISPR is and all of that biotech, nanotech, I mean, you should really, spend a little time there. The world of, microbiology is ultra interesting. It gives you a lot of retrospect when you look at the simplest forms of life and compare it to, organisms. But in any case, this virus is like, a hack for the genetic code of life, and it's coming for everybody, weaponized. It's going to blow in the wind and disperse and stick onto, everything, on the money, on, the ATMs, wherever you check out using your credit card and the like. It's, this is going to be quite an epidemic if it breaks through containment. And right now, everybody seems pretty sure this is going to break through containment. Again, the big breaking news right now is that these hospitals that you saw them build in like 5 days are built right next to the crematoriums so that they can just be shipped off. The bodies can be shipped off and nobody really knows. And we've got the map here. The hospitals are indicated at the center, and then the little path there to the crematoriums. And we're also picking up lots of hot spots and satellite activity of fires in the northeastern corner of Wuhan, as well as, in the outskirts. And, this has probably become public policy over there. Get rid of the bodies as quickly as you can. What else would you do in an outbreak? And they're saying, of course, even the corpses are contagious, that gases accumulate in the stomach and the lungs, and they can, basically exhale as you're moving the corpse. So they have to use 2 body bags per person. That's what we're hearing. Of course, we're hearing all sorts of very interesting information through translation as far as what's going on that side of the world. And we're hearing that this virus can infect in as little as 15 seconds. It can stay on surfaces for up to 5 days. We're hearing that it can infect through the eyes like pink eye. And so you've got these airborne virus nanoparticles that are just floating around for days like weaponized anthrax. And as soon as they collect into your eye, boom, and so you're gonna want to get prepared. The goggles, the gloves, minimum, the respirator or the N95, P2, P3 kind of masks and the like. Anything and everything is better than nothing. And of course, once it starts showing up on the news, as far as we've got 3 cases, 5 cases of communal spreading in such and such a city, it's too late. I mean, that thing is, much more widespread than the cases they could ever report on the television. At best, they're going to be able to pick up 10% of the mild cases as this epidemic begins to ramp up in various communities across America. Again, we're hearing that there's 20 cities that have opened up quarantine centers on the nearby military bases, and this is San Francisco, LA, Seattle, New York, DC, plus a couple others, to say the least. And so they're preparing, behind the scenes, they're preparing for a mass casualty event, and we recommend that people prepare for self-isolation, which is going to be preferable than going out there like it's Black Friday trying to get toilet paper while people are coughing on you with the Wuhan supervirus. You know what I mean? So we recommend just getting a little bit of stuff every day, stuff that you would normally use: extra soap, extra toilet paper, extra, whatever you might need on a daily basis. Just get a little extra every day, and worst case scenario, you're going to use it. You're going to use it eventually. But it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So that goes, that's the same thing for guns and ammo and the rest, because this may devolve into some kind of, Mad Max before you know it. The economy tanks, companies shut down. You see the videos from Wuhan and, Beijing, Shanghai, all of that. I mean, it's just ghost town. And so if your town turns into a ghost town, how's the economy going to do? And so right now this administration is basically forced to choose between saving lives and tanking the economy. So what they're going to choose. So you're better off preparing for yourselves. I mean, they're rolling out the death towers, and that's just making everything worse. Of course, for years, scientists have been warning about how EMF radiation fries the white blood cells. So all of the cell towers, the Wi-Fi, the cell phones, they're frying your white blood cells. And, what happens in this disease is that as soon as it starts defeating your white blood cells, it now starts to invade all of your other organs. And, your white blood cells are like your last line of defense. So, especially during this kind of outbreak, we strongly recommend, getting a dumb phone, taking the battery out, turning off the Wi-Fi, tethering in an Ethernet cable, you know what I mean? And get as far away from these death towers as you can. And you might as well, you might as well think about other possibilities if it turns into martial law out there, because, if it gets really bad, these death towers are going to be a death sentence for your community, and they just got to go. So, in any case, there's a lot of news as far as the origins of this virus, and most people are unaware. The CNN isn't going there. They're still talking about the anteater, but microbiologists throughout the world are pointing out to the genome of this particular virus, and it has all sorts of inserts, copy and paste inserts. It's got the fingerprints of the process that inserts, the code into the virus. And so, this is a weaponized gain of function virus. It's not like your normal virus. It's not a flu virus. This is like airborne AIDS. And it causes sudden death. And the body bags are everywhere. It's just like nothing anybody has ever seen before. So, it's a nightmare. Let's be honest. And of course, this thing may reemerge, next winter as well. So you might think your town didn't get it this year. Well, it may come back like the flu next year and get your town and start a whole different outbreak. And the thing too is that, even if the numbers are as high as people are estimating, in the hundreds of thousands of cases and tens of thousands of deaths, that's still only a very minute fraction of the people out there. There's a lot of, flesh for this virus to burn through. And that's going to be, an issue until they start finding their or selling their mandated vaccines. And who's going to want to take that thing? Come take the new vaccine that we just rushed through testing and hope it works, and nobody wants to be the guinea pig for a new vaccine. And so it's going to be a real game changer, it looks like, for most people. I mean, this is going to change your way of life. Now you're going to be taking selfies with the face mask, and you're going to be looking cool like that with your goggles, like it's literally Mad Max. And all of a sudden it makes me think of that dude, from that picture in the 1930s that's so out of place. And he's got the little goggles on, you know what I mean? I wonder if the virus is still out there. That's just supposition. We just like to have fun with people every once in a while. But literally, the videos speak for themselves. Whatever's going on out there is massive, much more massive than the numbers that they're reporting on right now. You can laugh at 30,000, unfortunately, and 2,000 or 3,000 new cases a day. It's much worse than that. And we're seeing other countries starting to melt down, go through the China syndrome. And, that's certainly not going to be wonderful news, ladies and gentlemen. We got Japan, Malaysia, which, you've been hearing about Singapore quite a bit and quite a few cases. We got quite a few super spreaders that have come on the radar in the mainstream news. And they're trying to desperately track down all the people that they might have infected. And, there's probably no hope there at this stage. And so it would be, rather astonishing from a scientific point of view if this thing doesn't spread everywhere in the next few months. And it's hard to say, if it's going to be like a Wuhan and the like. The dynamics of an epidemic are, rather interesting. And how do you boot up an epidemic that works? I mean, that's a question you got to ask yourself. Do you get a truck like this and start spraying it everywhere? How do we know they're not spraying virus right now? I mean, you wouldn't know. You want to trust these people. We are getting reports that this, whatever it is setting buildings on fire. We've actually got videos and images of that. But, at this stage, people wouldn't really understand, where these fires are coming from. So, but... how do you boot up a virus, a worldwide, a world-ending Doomsday virus, Agenda 21 virus, Georgia Guidestones virus? How do you boot one up? Basically, you need a co-sponsor. You need a country to step up and to let, a huge international, epidemic, escape from you as you're looking the other way. And it seems like at the run-up of this epidemic, they were locking up not just the famous doctor, but other doctors that were sounding the alarm that something was going on, and throughout this process, you can see how they're trying to silence, minimize, distract people away from this issue, if you can believe that. And that tells you that they just want this thing to spread. Not only over there, but over here as well. I mean, they've done everything but, invited in with a homecoming party or something. And so we can expect, to see some massive outbreaks based on, the current posture of, of the government. And unfortunately, I mean, look, It's too late now. You can criticize all you want, but it's too late now. But it's also the perfect plausible deniability. Trump is going to be like, well, the Chinese and this, that, and the other, and the Chinese are going to be like, fuck you. So that's basically it. And it makes you wonder, is this some kind of kamikaze attack? They know that they can, basically lock everything down and get rid of all the, all of the victims at the crematorium and get away with it. But we can't do that in America. That means we're fucked, because there's just no way that we can do what they're doing in terms of liquidation, unless we really wanted to. And this is why, this could actually be kind of beneficial to U.S. history. If this starts in San Francisco or, Pedowood or something like that, we could just wall that bitch up and just start shipping people off to the, to the camps. Look at these, what are these things? These look like some professional grade come and get you kind of trucks. And, it's probably, Organ Donation Express, Uber Organs, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard the stories. And it only gets worse. It's not surprising that this, unfolded where it did, unfortunately. And that's not to be mean. Everybody loves, kung fu movies and, people from over there. For their own reasons. I think there's a lot to admire, from their cultures. But, I don't think it's a big surprise that you've got some kind of world-ending super virus, emerging from over there. And not only that, but it escapes their lab, a lab that's got previous, escapes on record. I guess that's kind of besides the point. But what isn't besides the point is that, they're trying to rewrite the Bible. They're trying to, take down churches and persecute Christians. We've all seen the stories before, and we've all, said to ourselves, oh, these people are going to get it, right? You heard the stories. Come on, admit it out there. All of you saw the stories about, how they're trying to burn, churches, rewrite the Bible, ban Christianity. You heard the stories, and deep down you're saying to yourself, these people are going to get it. Oh, they got it. They got the message, if you know what I mean. And look, it's only going to get worse. People don't really realize, what they step into sometimes until it's way too late. And, I'm sure they saw a proposition that they liked and agreed to facilitate, and, just watch this spiral into a story they can't control. Instead of being the heroes, they're going to be, the enemy of the people. And, this is only going to spark more, revolution, if you will. And I think that, on the other side of the Pacific, in America and throughout the world, people should really realize that their governments have done everything they could, everything they could to invite this virus in, to invite this disaster at our doorsteps, to make this explode, and, let it happen in the big cities. Let it happen in the big cities, and let's wall them bitches up. I think everybody should be doing like the Chinese and, cutting off roads and, oh, you want to leave New York, do you? You want to leave San Francisco, huh? You look like an outsider, stranger. Go back to where you come from. You know what I mean? I think that should be the tone that everybody adopts as this crisis unfolds. But make sure they lock down these cities. Don't let them just kind of like pretend and that it's only 3 or 5 cases, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they're doing right now. They're buying as much time as they can. How do you boot up an epidemic that works? You buy as much time as you can. And that's why, day one, when we saw this story really kind of unfold the way it did, they're locking everything down like it escaped the lab. We're like, this has got to be the story. And everybody's got to hear about it, because they're going to want to infect everyone with this thing. And the quicker people understand, the better it is. We can start self-isolating and reducing, the chain reactions of this, fusion reactor, bioreactor that is going to be spewing out virus particles, bioweapons everywhere. And of course, the big cities, are going to be the main incubators. So I think we should just wait, until, we get as many cities as we can risk, and, and then just say wall them up. San Francisco and New York are a must, I think. Wall them bitches up. If we can get LA, Portland would be nice. We hope there's some festivals, music festivals out there in Portland. And as far as all the decent people out there, get out of these big cities. You know what you're in for. And if you don't know what you're in for, you should see, you know, what it's like. You know, there's some videos of people trying to get groceries, some expats before they got evacuated, you know, trying to get groceries and the like. And it's just, it's surreal. It's surreal. You can't even imagine. And now we're seeing the videos. I mean, they're just taking people away. They're liquidating, you know, apartment blocks entirely. And they've passed a law. I mean, this is the law out there now. If you're even suspected to have been in contact with an infected person, then you're going to their death camps. And of course, they can just say that just because they don't like you. You know, oh, I think you were in touch. I think you touched that other dude, didn't he? Yeah, he did. Yeah, go get him. And that's it, man. That's all it takes. You're gone. And not only that, but they're using their mass surveillance to like temperature check everybody. So you might just have the cold. You know, you're going to the death camp too. Not taking any chances, right? We're never going to do that. We're never going to beat this virus unless we're brutal. And, you know, if we got to be brutal, you know, San Francisco, New York, you know, I don't even think DC really belongs in America. It's not even a state, you know, it's some kind of other thing, district of criminals, whatever you want to call it, but it's demonically possessed. I mean, they got a pentagram, you know, in the city streets out there. It's the most demonic city. That's what DC stands for. We just figured it out. Demonic city. It's got a giant pentagram, you know, right there, you know, and the White House is at the tip of it at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Of course, they wanted to put 666 Pennsylvania Avenue, but that would have been a little too obvious. The pentagram is all they could really go for. Plus, you got the obelisk. I mean, the whole thing's a nightmare. Let's just wait. I mean, they're pretty sure DC, New York, San Francisco, LA, and maybe Seattle are going to get it. And, well, you know, what can we do other than contain the issue? So let's contain the issue. I think they should really, you know, start canceling all, you know, potential mass spreading events, whether it be sporting events. I know how cruel, you know, sporting events, concerts, you know, any kind of nightclub kind of thing. You know what I mean? Keep people, you know, in the straight and narrow a little bit. Watch them go wild. I think, you know, if they were, you know, halfway human, they would start taking precautionary measures. I mean, you're seeing the videos of people dropping dead in the streets, and that's just, you know, just a small fraction of what's going on. I mean, we've seen more than enough to suspect the worst, and so something must be done, ladies and gentlemen. But they're not doing anything. They're just waiting for this thing to explode like an atomic weapon in everybody's backyard. And, you know, if this stuff, you know, if this looks like it's contained, think again. You know, CNN so conveniently was like, oh, it's contained. You know, it's Fukushima, Chernobyl contained. You know, don't worry about the gas clouds or nothing. It's doing better. It's doing better. You can believe us. We're CNN, you know. It's just amazing that those people still broadcast, you know. It's amazing. You know, that's besides the point. But they should be doing more. And there's a reason why they're not doing more, is because these people are demonic. They're like this Jonestown cult, the suicide cult that's just, you know, dreams of grooming your children. I mean, you should see the California curriculum. If those people aren't overdue, they're overdue. So, you know, I think we need to contain the issue. We'll just say that again. You know, we should just cut off all the tunnels, you know, that go through the Rockies and whatever, and just leave the West Coast to their own devices for the time being. I think we need to focus our resources on, you know, on what matters most. And I think everybody understands what we mean by that. But look, we're not going to keep going round and round. We're going to have to close this broadcast off here. There's so much more to say. Check out the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It's a must. Know it by heart. But literally, it's the pages of the Bible playing out before your very eyes, ladies and gentlemen. And these demons are, you know, our punishment for our sins. And of course, the demons are just going to make it worse. You know what I mean? So don't expect, you know, things to get any better until we take out the trash ourselves. That's what we're here for, ladies and gentlemen. any case, we'll leave it there for this broadcast. Check out our website, stfnreport.com, for the latest updates. We'll try and do another show later on, perhaps. But again, the big breaking news, if you're joining us late, there's 20 death camps being set up in the U.S. The hospitals in Wuhan are right next to the crematorium. Those crematoriums are running 24/7. The numbers are much worse than they say. It's a drop-dead virus, a doomsday virus that escaped the lab, and they're doing everything they can to let it in. I mean, how about that for a 30-second, summary? And not only that, but I mean, it's more of the same: death towers, fluoride, GMOs, vaccines, chemtrails. This is what happens when we just kind of ignore what we know. You know what I mean? So we can't be complacent. We've been awake since 9/11. It's time that, we end the threat from within, the enemy from within, ladies and gentlemen. Till the next time. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance. Yes, you are.